This was the awkward result of two minor oversights from two different systems colliding: the specially made player card collision system, and the system that manages spawn rooms. But what do these systems do, and how did this happen? Valve created a physics system specifically for taking care of players against the payload cart. The system isn't complicated, but it's a sizable chunk of code that defines how the payload cart should apply force to push players away from itself. On the surface, this seems completely pointless because the payload cart is just a func track train object, and players can already interact with func track trains fine. But if we turn the system off, we get stuck in the cart on literally the first bend of Badwater. Riding it is also quite strange. So that's what it's for: applying push forces to players to stop them from getting stuck, and fixing the angle snapping that happens when you ride it. But the problem with this new system is that when the cart pushes a player, it only considers geometry that universally blocks players. For example, the cart won't push you into a wall or a prop, which is great, but TF2 has special team-specific conditionally solid objects that's unaccounted for. So enemy buildings, or in our case, enemy players. Side note, they do check to make sure the cart isn't pushing you into the enemy spawn though. You get a heart attack if it happens. So that's what happened. You walk into the cart pushes you away from itself, forcefully pushing you into the enemy player, bypassing the normal collision checks that stop you from doing so. The second system that went wrong is the specific way spawn rooms decide if you're allowed to enter. By default, you're assigned the appropriate team-specific collision, and when you bump into a team-specific object, it checks if you have a team collision that opposes its own alignment. So for example, a blue dispenser checks if you've been assigned red collision, and denies or permits you to walk through it. But if you somehow end up inside an enemy player, the game temporarily strips your collision of any team affiliation. You hold neither red or blue collision, so dispensers of both teams would allow you to pass. Spawn blockers work the same way. You hold neither red or blue collision, it allows you to pass, therefore are bug. This also applies to players too. You can walk through anyone. If I stop the game from taking your team-specific collision, you, the other guy, and the cart all collectively get stuck. So there is a point to doing this, but just with a side effect they didn't catch. So a niche case where the cart can push you into a player, to a niche oversight with spawn blockers.
I'm in you.